Tonight we slip into the forgotten rhythm of Viking sleep method. Boring history, perfect for dozing off. Frosty nights met cunning comfort. Restless evenings yielded to Nordic calm. Before you sink deeper into the pillow, brush a soft tap on like. If these hushed tales soothe you, let's subscribe, quietly follow. Leave me a quiet clue, a whisper of what your city is known for, but don't name it. I'll guess where you're listening from. As we map the night together, ease the lights low. Let the hum of a fan or gentle breeze keep you company. We'll begin when you're ready. The timber longhouse sighs in the dark, its turf roof heavy with fresh snow that smothers every distant howl. Your fingertips graze a wall beam chilled by moonlit frost, the grain rising like frozen ripples beneath skin. Lantern embers wink low, painting amber veins across rafters, while your breath drifts upward as silver fog before it vanishes. Wood smoke, faint as an old memory, slides between poles and mingles with the bite of pine resin. In this hush, even a shifting straw pillow cracks like footfalls across distant ice. In stillness, step deeper, and the hall broadens like a wooden ship laid upon land. 30 paces from end to end, raised earth ridges outline walls of overlapping pine planks, their seams packed with moss and sheep's wool to lock out sleep. Household life gathers along 2 bench beds, running the room's length. They stand waist-high to dodge floor drafts, and beneath them, winter store barrels gleam with cured fish. People slept in rows, parents nearest the fire, elders at the warmer gable, visiting traders wherever space appeared. Cattle pens anchor one corner, their breath adding mild, living warmth. A traveler in 921 wrote that the animals were no louder than heavy rain, a clue to this deliberate nightly calm. At the midpoint squats the hearth, a shallow stone rectangle where peat and birch logs smolder rather than roar. Fire was a servant, never a show. Women, keepers of iron tongs, coaxed a blue-edged flame that produced glow without sparks, trimming the risk of stray embers kissing wool cloaks. Above a smoke eye, a square vent stays ajar, except during blizzards. The upward plume draws fresh air from low door slits, renewing oxygen without launching a gale across sleepers' faces. Centuries later, said Origin, engineers would call this the stack effect, but sagas simply named it the house breathing. Light, too, obeyed purposeful restraint. Rush stalks soaked in fish oil, burned at dusk, only long enough for hushed tasks, darning sails, sharpening knives, sharing soft prayers. When wicks quenched, darkness settled not as threat, but as gentle closure to the day. Through thin panes of horn, winter's aurora brushed pale green across rafters, a nightlight that cost no precious tallow. Those who lay awake counted the slow ripple of color the way others might count sheep, rhythm calming pulse, until eyelids grew leaden. The notion that people feared the dark is, here, politely disproved. Modern studies offer unexpected praise to these smoky, low-lit chambers. Fine soot particles, while no tonic for lungs, thicken air, just enough to slow radiant heat loss from skin, especially when mingled with steam from simmering stews. Measured tonight, the wooden walls might read 5 degrees above freezing, yet the microclimate around a sleeper lingers near cozy, thanks to layered bodies, blankets, and that slow, steady airflow. The longhouse, far from crude, stands revealed as an early lesson in passive geothermal thrift. Now as embers settle, and the hall's breath softens, you notice your own back still hovers above the plank. No fur beneath yet, no fragrant straw to cradle weary joints. Beds here were never afterthoughts. Each layer spoke of region and season. Coastal clans favored seabird down. Inland farmers prized reeds, dried beside summer bogs, and hunters stitched fox, hare, or reindeer hides into patchwork covers. Every texture trapped warmth differently, crafting personal climates within the communal cocoon. To learn how Vikings mastered comfort despite iron winter, we must peel back those layers, sift through crackling straw, and run our hands over fur polished smooth by generations of midnight turning. linger by the fading glow. In a moment we will kneel beside a fresh bedding pile, separating each humble ingredient until the secret harmony of warmth and weight reveals itself. The bed calls softly from the far corner of the hall, a low wooden frame, edges smoothed by countless hands, its shape barely raised above packed earth. You run fingers over the straw that spills from its edges, each stalk dry, pale and crinkling gently beneath your palm like ancient parchment. A reindeer hide drapes loosely atop it, soft fur cool to the touch, but already inviting, already warming beneath your fingers, as if remembering long nights of human rest. These were no grand mattresses, but a practical layering of nature's offerings. Straw was chosen first, rye straw or barley, dried in the harvest sun, then bundled loosely into sacks of linen or wool. The stuffing breathed, holding air, repelling damp, and could be shaken out, replaced, or even burned as fuel when worn thin. Fur followed coarse skins closest to straw, finer pelts for the uppermost touch, seal, bear, fox, hare, each selected for warmth, softness, and local abundance. If you were a guest, this might seem rustic, even severe. Yet for the Viking sleeper, it was luxury tailored to climate. The straw absorbed sweat, aired out each day, and allowed the furs to remain warm and dry. No coils, no springs, just nature in layers. The cleverness was quiet, a hollow frame that kept the sleeper raised from the cold flagstones below. Edges rounded, so no sharp corner would catch the hanging pelts, and a careful size, wide enough for one, but close enough to conserve heat. Here too, the bedding carried signs of status. A chieftain's bed might gleam with otter fur, or imported squirrel skins from the east, while a farmer's cot displayed rough sheepskin dyed with plant colors, a humble badge of self-sufficiency. But all shared the same underlying logic. Air trapped within layers equals warmth. Even the poorest household honored this truth. Modern science would confirm what these beds already knew, that the key to sleep comfort is not simply softness, but temperature regulation and breathability. And straw, often mocked today, offers precisely that. You can almost imagine a Viking artisan shaking loose a fresh sackful, spreading the straw evenly with a wooden rake, then patting it down until it whispered underfoot. A candle guttering nearby adds another gentle note, waxy smoke curling into the stillness as you watch shadows flutter along the timber walls. So here we sit, at the edge of a Viking bed, a design that seems primitive but reflects a deep dialogue with landscape and season. No heavy linen drapes, no feather mattress yet, just straw's dry rustle beneath fur's dense hush, promising support and insulation without fuss. And that simple layering leads us toward the next clue. How these sleepers transformed an open bench into a snug chamber, closing out winter drafts without shutting out breath itself. The scent of wood smoke lingers, a thin blue haze curling from the hearth at the heart of the longhouse, where birch logs smolder rather than burn brightly. Your skin drinks in this radiant hush, a soft heat that never quite reaches your toes, but takes the edge from the surrounding chill. The hearth is shallow, framed by rough stones, blackened from centuries of quiet duty. Above it, a narrow opening in the roof lets smoke drift skyward, a silver ribbon rising into night. Around this modest flame, all life once revolved. Vikings did not simply sleep near their fires. They sculpted their entire household around them. The hearth dictated where benches would rest, where the best straw mattresses would be laid, and where warm air might pool gently for bodies curled beneath fur. It was a constant equation of proximity and caution, close enough for warmth, but far enough to respect embers that could leap unpredictably if stoked too hastily. Roll your shoulders. The bed nearest the fire belonged to elders or those nursing illness. Practicality and care intertwined. Younger sleepers nestled farther down the benches, their own body heat pooling beneath woolen cloaks. Even livestock shared this heat equation, sometimes tethered at the longhouse's far end, where their breath added animal warmth to the coldest corners. A gentle myth to dispel, these fires were not grand nor roaring. Most Viking hearths glowed quietly, the the flames low but enduring, sustained by slow-burning peat or dense logs that gave more ember than blaze. The very art of sleep here was about balance. Never too hot, never too bright, always conserving fuel for long winter nights that stretched endlessly beneath northern skies. And the air, the air. Modern architects might envy the subtle craft of ventilation practiced here. The vent above the hearth created a draw, pulling fresh air from hidden gaps below doors and walls, circulating gently through the hall without gusting. This slow, invisible tide kept smoke from choking sleepers, but allowed enough warmth to linger, embracing those wrapped in pelts on straw beds. It was not simply heat, but atmosphere, maintained with care and quiet skill. You feel it now, the difference between the side of your face turned toward the fire and the coolness against your neck on the far side. This was deliberate, this dance of temperature that let a Viking sleeper choose their perfect position, curling toward the glow or nestling into the cool shadows beyond. Soft shadows flicker across the planks above, and you imagine the gentle crackle of logs, soothing warmth, carefully held at the center of it all, never wasteful nor ostentatious, simply present, a tender, constant flame. As we prepare to wander further into this tapestry of Viking comfort, we'll next discover how wooden rails, humble yet ingenious, transform these shared spaces into personal havens of warmth and rest. The longhouse breathes, low and slow, walls wrapped in shadow, a curl of wood smoke, curling again, then dissolving as if swallowed by the beams overhead. You hover just above the straw, half awake, eyelids heavy as fur pelts, layered deep. The faintest crackle of peat, a soft shuffle in the dark, wind pressing gently at the turf roof's edge, cool, drafts threading through moss-chinked seams. Yet somehow, warmth lingers here, a slow tide of heat pooling near the hearth, seeping outward. Rough woven wool brushes your cheek, a texture coarse yet comforting. Your fingers trace knots along a plank floor, still holding the sun's memory deep in its grain rising smooth, then splintered. The breath of nearby sleepers, barely audible, rises and falls like the hush of distant waves, a rhythm that invites you to match it. Slower, deeper, calmer. Somewhere above, beams creak gently, the timbers alive with age, but no urgency, no hurry, just patient sighs from old wood as shadows shift imperceptibly. Even the animals at the far end stir quietly, the soft snort of a tethered goat, a clink of worn leather harness, a pause, stillness. Again, your head sinks lower, sinking into imagined straw, the weight of a fur blanket, a hint of pine resin clinging faintly in the air, a sharpness smoothed by the mellow balm of sleep. Every creak, every cool draft, every ember's glow has softened at this hour, edges blurred, textures hushed, sounds folding inward, and you are neither fully awake nor fully gone, suspended like breath held in the quiet before dawn. Soon we will lift our gaze again to examine the wooden cowle rails, ingenious and understated cradling duvets just above the straw floor. But not yet. Stay here, in this hush, with the scent of wood smoke and worn timber, and the warm breath of a house that has known centuries of sleep. The first thing your fingertips find is the cool edge of wood, smooth, rounded, and worn to a satiny polish by generations of restless turning. This is no ordinary bed frame, but a humble Viking invention called the cowle rail. It rises only slightly above the straw-filled bed, tracing a low perimeter like a fence too gentle to confine, yet effective enough to shape a night's comfort. Run your hand along its length. The wood is pine, light and straight, curved precisely to prevent sharp edges that might snag a woolen blanket or scratch bare skin. The rails perform a subtle but critical duty. They hold furs and cloaks in place as you turn and shift, preventing them from slipping into the cold draft, pooling at the floor, a quiet boundary between warmth above and chill below. The very design speaks of thoughtful simplicity, raised just high enough to cradle, but never imprison, wide enough to accommodate two tired travelers, yet adaptable for solitary sleepers who would curl tightly beneath a single pelt. Even the placement of cobble rails reflected careful balance. A bed must be close to the hearth, but not so close as to risk stray embers. The rail itself might be notched gently at corners, accommodating a peg where an extra lantern could hang, or a woolen wrap could be tied. Roll your shoulders, and there's humor tucked into these details too. In one surviving saga fragment, an irritable elder mocks a neighbor's sloppy railwork as being fit only for keeping dreams from falling out. A rare glimpse of Viking carpentry banter, as dry as salted fish. But beyond wit and woodcraft, the cobble rail reflects the core Viking relationship with sleep itself. Not indulgence, but precision. Every element, the fire's glow, the fur's weight, the rail's curve, conspired to protect slumber, transforming even the most communal of spaces into a private cocoon. Modern sleep scientists might marvel at the ingenuity. These low barriers didn't just keep blankets from sliding, they also created a thermal pocket, minimizing air movement at bed level, while allowing for just enough circulation above. This delicate balance helped maintain body heat efficiently throughout long Arctic nights, when temperatures plunged without ceremony. As you linger beside the frame, you notice the faintest creak as wood settles into wood, a memory encoded into the material itself, echoing nights when weary limbs settled, when lovers shared whispered secrets, when travelers finally felt safe enough to let their eyes close fully. And so we move forward, having traced the line where Viking craftsmanship met creature comfort, ready to explore another surprising luxury soon to take root in these same halls, the emergence of feather down and the curious prestige that accompanied its rise. The faint rustle you hear now is different. Softer, lighter, a sound like wind passing through dry grass. Your hand sinks gently into a pile that yields without resistance. The first feather down bedding to grace a Viking longhouse. Close your eyes and press. The down swells and lifts, airy but full, a nest within a nest. Before this, Viking beds relied on straw and fur alone, but as contact with trade routes deepened, new luxuries slipped into even these remote timber halls. Down plucked from wild-eidered ducks, nesting along wind-scoured northern coasts, became a prized stuffing. Each tiny feather, delicate as frost lace, trapped warmth more effectively than straw or wool, all while weighing almost nothing. The transition was gradual. Not every farmstead could afford a mattress or duvet stuffed with this treasure. Feather down was rare enough that it sparked jokes. A 13th century Icelandic tale quips that a man who slept on feathers could only rise late, his dreams too cushioned to abandon. A Viking tax record even once described a feather pillow as worthy as 3 sheep, a sly measure of both softness and status. Roll your shoulders. Imagine leaning back now, pressing deeper into this newfound softness. The feather down envelops and insulates with remarkable efficiency, an innovation quietly at odds with the rough-hewn world outside. For the lucky few who owned such bedding, it was more than comfort, it was prestige. And yet, feather down had a practical Viking appeal too. The down was sourced locally, gathered from abandoned nests after breeding season, offering warmth without harming the birds, a sustainable practice that nodded toward their respect for the rhythms of nature. The fine feathers packed densely yet breathed, avoiding the damp chill that sometimes haunted straw mattresses deep in winter. In modern language, we might call this an early experiment in luxury ecology, a fusion of indulgence and practicality, where even bedding reflected the careful negotiation between environment and ease. Each feather, light as air, became part of a system engineered for survival and serenity alike. As your fingertips stir these downy tufts, as your breath slows to match the hush of a longhouse prepared for sleep, you can almost sense the allure that feather bedding held for weary Viking travelers, returning from stormy seas or snowbound trails. Soon, we'll drift toward a tale that flies in the face of popular lore, the myth that Vikings sat upright to sleep like wary ravens, always ready for battle. But tonight, here you know better. Comfort was no afterthought, even in the far north. A shadow of a story lingers here, one you may have heard in hurried documentaries or whispered pub tales, that Vikings, fierce and restless, slept upright, backs against posts, like ravens perched in perpetual readiness. It's an image that fits the warrior myth, but a myth remains. Feel the cool grain of the wooden post beside you. Imagine leaning back against it, head lolling uncomfortably as gravity drags at weary muscles. No fur-lined seat, no tilted support, just hard timber. Even the most hardened Norse seafarer would scoff at such posture for sleep, and rightly so. The truth, like so many truths of Viking life, is far gentler and far better suited for sleep. Vikings prized warmth, comfort, and restoration. Their world required it. Raids and rowing demanded strong backs and steady minds, which could only come from deep restorative rest. They did not sit upright through the night. They reclined fully on benches, straw beds, or thick fur pelts, stretched out beside hearth fires, wrapped carefully to trap body heat and conserve precious energy. The upright sleeper myth likely stems from a misunderstanding of how they waited or kept watch. Indeed, during times of threat, a warrior might sit awake, spear at hand, eyes adjusting to flickering shadows. But this was vigil, not sleep. Roll your shoulders. Even those tasked with guard duty would take turns. So when their shift ended, they too would sink into full repose, spine aligned, limbs relaxed, blankets drawn high to the chin. Modern research into pre-industrial sleep patterns confirms this practicality. No community reliant on physical endurance could afford compromised rest. Vikings, pragmatic as ever, optimized their environment with straw, fur, fire, and eventually down, rejecting discomfort when comfort could be crafted by hand. And so the image dissolves, no grim silhouettes slumped upright through the night, but figures stretched gently along wooden benches, skin warmed by hearth glow, softened by feather and fleece, surrounded by the familiar sounds of wind and creak and breath. You can almost hear it now, the quiet shuffle of a sleeper turning, pulling their fur closer, not a sentinel frozen in half slumber, but a human at peace in a world carefully engineered for rest. Ahead, we'll slip deeper into their philosophy of shared spaces and separate covers. Next, we examine how couples quietly divided their bedding and warmth, creating microclimates not just for sleep, but for relationships too. A hush falls as we approach a simple but surprising truth. In the dim glow of the longhouse, Viking couples rarely shared a single cover. Instead, they slept side by side, each wrapped in their own fur or cloak, two islands of warmth in the same straw bed, their blankets never quite touching. Run your hand along the edge of one such pelt, its texture dense and soft, a reindeer hide perhaps, stitched along its border with quiet precision. Next to it, another lies folded neatly, a second skin for the other sleeper, distinct yet close. Why this arrangement? The reasons, much like the craftsmanship itself, were layered. In a world of practicalities, comfort came first. Sharing a single heavy cover risks tugging and drafts, inviting cold air whenever one partner turns. But two separate wraps, they allowed sleepers to turn freely, conserving warmth, tailoring their own cocoon, an early Nordic solution to the universal blanket war. Modern Scandinavia has preserved this wisdom. In countless Nordic bedrooms today, two duvets remain the norm, each sleeper nestling into a personal thermal microclimate, free from tug-of-war tensions. What seems strange elsewhere is simply ancestral logic here. Roll your shoulders. And it wasn't just about comfort, it was a reflection of independence within intimacy. Viking law often acknowledged individual property within marriage. Furs, cloaks, bedding, all could be counted separately in a dowry or inheritance. Even at night, these boundaries held soft sway, parallel warmths coexisting in peace. Imagine the quiet ritual at day's end, as the fire dimmed and shadows lengthened, each partner shaking out their own pelt, folding into it carefully, adjusting to their own comfort without disruption. A harmony of closeness and autonomy, a reminder that shared sleep did not have to mean shared blankets. The myth of the communal blanket fades into shadow now, replaced by a portrait of two careful, considerate arrangements. Two humans aware of how to preserve their own comfort while still lying close. As the straw crackles beneath us, our gaze turns next to fabric itself. How Viking bedding evolved from coarse hemp and linen to lighter, breathable cotton centuries later, revealing that even the material beneath your dreams can carry history's quiet lessons. Beneath your fingertips now lies fabric lighter than air, woven in gentle ripples, a softness far removed from the rough linens Vikings once knew. Close your eyes, feeling threads slip quietly against skin. No scratch of coarse hemp, no heavy wool. This is modern cotton, a breath of quiet luxury barely imagined in those timber halls. Centuries ago, bedding was woven from flax or hemp, hardy, resilient fibers that whispered their strength through texture. Sheets were rare, reserved for wealthier households or special occasions. Most families simply laid directly upon straw and furs, the natural materials offering insulation without need for cloth covers. But over time, as trade routes expanded, lighter fabrics seeped into Nordic life, their whispers of comfort irresistible. Imagine, now, how revolutionary cotton must have seemed upon arrival. Light enough to flutter in a breeze, yet warm enough to cradle sleep. Its threads breathed, allowing air to pass gently through, regulating heat and moisture far better than coarse flax ever could. By the 18th century, cotton had transformed beds from humble straw heaps into quiet sanctuaries of softness. Roll your shoulders. Even linen, once rough and stiff, gradually became refined. Skilled weavers developed techniques to soften threads, rendering them supple and smooth without losing strength. Bedding became an art of careful layers, soft linen sheets beneath warm blankets, each layer adding a new dimension of comfort. In Nordic homes today, this careful layering persists, echoing ancestral wisdom while embracing modern ease. But beyond practicality, cotton's adoption represented deeper shifts, a willingness to embrace change quietly, without losing identity. Scandinavian sleepers maintained their independence, still favoring separate duvets, still tailoring sleep climates uniquely their own. Yet the materials evolved, carrying tradition forward in lighter, gentler forms. Tonight, as you lie back on sheets softer than Viking hands ever touched, you can feel history threaded into every quiet weave, each fiber a testament to a culture that honored rest as much as resilience. The story is subtle, whispered in textures that now cradle your sleep with ancient grace. Ahead, we drift again into dream, revisiting the longhouse, but from the vantage of the deepest midnight hush, where snow outside blankets the world, as cotton now blankets you. Snow presses softly against the longhouse walls, every drift a muffled sigh. The turf roof bows gently under its quiet weight. Outside, moonlight scatters across whiteness. Inside, the hearth's glow barely flickers, a low ember pulse that hums steady, slow, serene. You lie, curled now, your breath shallow, skin brushed by the soft scratch of linen worn smooth, the down of a feather pillow yielding beneath your head. Shadows slip across beams, stretch, retreat, stretch again, like long fingers tracing ancient grain. No voices now, only the wind's hush, as it slips through tiny moss-packed seams, weaving in coolness that never quite reaches your toes. A fur blanket rests heavy across your hips, dense grounding. Your palm trails its edge, finding the finer weave of a softer cloth beneath, linen layered atop straw, cotton, softened by age and use. The floor creaks faintly, the house settling deeper into night, a sigh of wood, a low exhale of warmth. Even the air feels thick, padded with age and memory. Outside, snowflakes whisper against the timber, tapping lightly, then fading. Inside, warmth pools gently around you, beneath you, above you, textures blending, fur and linen, straw and feather, a weave of comfort, older than words. A single mote of ash rises from the hearth, drifting lazily upward, spinning once, twice, before vanishing. Even the animals beyond the partition stand still now, hooves quiet. Even the house, holding all in calm, And you hover, almost weightless, lulled by this perfect hush. Textures soft, shadows deep, time folding. Soon we will wake, again, and trace how two duvets met romance, how this quiet separation became an act of care and grace. But not yet. Let your breath slow. Let shadow and texture cradle you. This is the longhouse's deepest hush, and you are part of it. Your hand brushes a folded corner, soft, layered, separate. Here lies the quiet birth of a Nordic custom that would puzzle outsiders for generations. The two-duvet bed. Not Viking era precisely, but its roots trace back to the same instincts for balance, autonomy, and warmth. In 19th century Denmark and Norway, as bedding materials improved and social customs evolved, couples began to favor individual covers. The shared blanket gave way to twin duvet, lighter, smaller, and perfectly fitted for one, allowing each sleeper to tailor their warmth and weight without disturbing the other. The reason, as always in the far north, was practical. Shared heavy quilts had caused nightly tugging, drafts, and frustration. Two covers meant two personal climates, micro-worlds within a shared space. Harmony at last, beneath the thatch and timber. Roll your shoulders, but this innovation was more than convenience. It became a symbol of quiet respect within intimacy. In an age when marriage beds elsewhere were expected to symbolize union above all, Nordic couples demonstrated a subtle understanding. Closeness thrives when autonomy is preserved, even in sleep. Early textile records hint at this transition. Tailors listing one duvet for the lady, one for the gentleman in household inventories. Inns offering separate covers, as is our custom, to bemused German travelers, and family wills carefully dividing cherished goose-down duvets among children as heirlooms. Dry humor followed, of course. An 1870 Danish proverb teased that a man who steals his wife's duvet has no business calling himself hardy. Even today, Scandinavian hotel brochures proudly advertise the two-duvet arrangement as a hallmark of local culture, leaving visitors charmed, confused, or quietly converted. The modern two-duvet system remains a simple but elegant solution. No more midnight blanket wars, no more chilly shoulders, just individualized comfort beneath a shared roof. Each person tucked into their own softness, close enough to reach across, but separate enough to rest without disturbance. Tonight, as you imagine slipping beneath not one but two light duvets, you can feel that balance, closeness and independence, intimacy and freedom. And next, we will quietly wander into the science behind this practice, how the humble principle of separate covers also cradles deeper sleep, steadier warmth, and peaceful dreams. The air shifts gently around you now, a warmth pooled close to your skin, a subtle envelope of stillness that feels personal, tailored. This is the essence of what modern sleep science calls a microclimate, something Viking wisdom intuited long before the term existed. Under a single large blanket, heat moves unevenly. Your partner rolls, drafts sneak in, warmth disperses. But two duvets, each sleeper wraps themselves in their own cocoon of air and fabric, controlling their thermal environment independently. In a shared bed, this quiet separation means your warmth remains yours. No nightly negotiation, no compromise. Studies confirm what Nordic households have practiced for generations. Personal sleep microclimates reduce disturbances, improve temperature regulation, and deepen rest. A sly aside here, the old joke goes, a Viking knew his duvet was perfect when even the draugr wouldn't bother to haunt him. Can roll your shoulders. The principle is simple but profound. Trapping a stable layer of warm air next to the body minimizes fluctuations that would otherwise nudge you awake. Each duvet creates a private zone where heat loss is gentle, humidity is balanced, and skin feels neither clammy nor cold. And it's not just folklore or convenience. Sleep labs have measured how fewer awakenings and longer REM cycles follow when each sleeper can control their cover's insulation without interference. Even bedding materials themselves have evolved to support this. Lighter downs, breathable cottons, smart weaves that hold heat without smothering. As you nestle deeper, you might feel it for yourself. the way a duvet seems to learn your body, adjusting quickly, holding your warmth, but allowing breathability. This is ancient intuition meeting modern design, and it all stems from that simple notion that two separate duvets yield a better night's rest than one oversized blanket. Next, we'll slip further into this story, where warmth meets diplomacy, and discover how the twin duvet tradition put an end to centuries of quiet nocturnal skirmishes, the infamous blanket wars of the Nordic night. The scene you imagine now is timeless. Two figures in a dim room, each tugging gently at a shared blanket, shifting side to side as night deepens. A quiet skirmish, no words, no sharp conflict, just the age-old struggle for warmth under a single cover. The Vikings knew this dance, as did generations after them, but it was the simple genius of separate duvets that finally brokered peace. Where once couples might have fought a slow, sleepy battle for dominance over wool or fur, now each held dominion over their own cocoon. Picture it. A straw-filled mattress wide enough for two, and atop it, two distinct covers laid side by side, each sleeper tucking their own edges, adjusting their own folds, neither disturbing the other's rhythm, nor risking exposure to a sudden midnight chill. Roll your shoulders. This innovation didn't just end blanket wars. It offered a quiet expression of respect to grant one another personal space. Even in sleep was a recognition that peace begins at rest. Where once tugging at a shared woolen quilt could wake both parties, now there was nothing to dispute, no territory to defend. The tradition has endured, and today, in countless Nordic homes, the sight of two duvets atop one bed remains utterly normal. Travelers often find themselves bewildered, and then quietly delighted by this arrangement, slipping easily into their own sleep without disruption. The ending of blanket wars isn't just practical, it's poetic, a reflection that even the most intimate spaces flourish when autonomy and closeness coexist. As we drift further, you'll soon hear how these quiet traditions caught the attention of outsiders, travelers baffled, charmed, and sometimes bemused by Nordic beds, a tale of astonishment that will unfurl next. Gently, warmly, and in perfect peace, the hush deepens. You linger, now in the longhouse. The fire's glow reduced to a faint ember nestled in cool ash. Shadows lengthen and stretch, then soften and dissolve. The air is cool, crisp, yet warmth lingers close to skin. Your breath rising slowly, drifting upward, caught in the soft sway of timber beams. Your fingers trail along the edge of a low wooden rail, smooth, worn, a quiet reminder of countless nights before yours. The blanket above your legs, heavy, comforting, weighted just enough to ground you. Beside you, the sound of someone turning in sleep, a rustle of straw, a creak of old planks, not intrusive, only part of the hush. A breeze brushes your cheek, cool, dry, a thread of air slipping past moss-packed seams, then vanishing, leaving only the scent of wool, wood smoke, faint pine resin. In the far corner, a kettle breathes. On the dying hearth, the hiss of cooling iron, blending with the quiet drip of melted snow outside. You stretch one foot gently, feel the textured weave of fur, a softness layered atop rougher straw. Contrast, harmony, time folds again. The longhouse feels endless now, no beginning, no end, just walls that breathe, wood that sighs, the slow pulse of sleep around you, even animals resting, a faint shuffle, then stillness. Somewhere above, a single beam creaks, the rhythm of the building itself, preparing for night. The separate duvets lie side by side, undisturbed, each sleeper cocooned, contained, comfortable, warmth gathered precisely where it is needed. No blanket wars here, only calm. You are floating between textures, wool and straw, air and skin, shadow and glow. No rush, no thought, just hush. Soon, very soon, we will lift gently into the next step of this journey. But for now, this hush is yours. These textures are yours. This breath is yours. Stay suspended, a quiet figure among softened lines and softened air. A night drawn long and slow, safe, still, Warm. A traveler steps quietly into a Nordic inn, eyes wide, luggage set gently by the wooden bed, and then a pause. Before them lie two neatly folded duvets, one for each half of the bed, perfectly aligned, perfectly separate. A puzzled glance, a chuckle, a story begins before a word is spoken. For centuries, visitors from warmer quilt-sharing cultures found this arrangement both curious and quaint. Letters from 18th century British tourists described their astonishment at being given two small bed coverlets where one large blanket would suffice. Their tone part amusement, part admiration, but this surprise never led to disdain. Rather, it became a hallmark of northern hospitality, an invitation not only to rest, but to experience rest as the locals knew it, tailored, respectful, harmonious. Roll your shoulders. German travelers in the 19th century commented that the cold of these lands is matched only by the genius of their beds. French guests, meanwhile, whispered that Nordic beds were half love, half diplomacy, marveling that two duvets could foster both closeness and independence without conflict. Even today, first-time visitors often take photographs of their hotel beds, sending them home with captions somewhere between curiosity and envy, discovering for themselves the quiet brilliance of a tradition that says, your warmth is yours, mine is mine, and both can coexist beautifully. This bemusement, this gentle astonishment, has helped spread the two-duvet custom beyond the north, to bedrooms and hotels far afield, quietly influencing how the world thinks about comfort, autonomy, and the art of sharing space. Next, we'll slip into the age of flat packs and global branding, tracing how a Swedish furniture giant helped export this humble but brilliant tradition to beds across the globe, gently folding Nordic calm into every bedroom it touched. You smooth your palm over crisp fabric, not fur, not coarse linen, but modern cotton, impeccably folded, tucked into the corner of a familiar pale wooden frame. This is a scene far from the Viking longhouse, yet one carrying its quiet lineage forward, the global spread of the two-duvet tradition, thanks in part to a certain Swedish furniture giant. IKEA, with its flat packs and minimalist charm, did more than sell beds and blankets. It quietly exported Nordic sleep culture around the world. The showroom bedroom became an introduction to a custom many had never imagined. Two perfectly matched duvets atop a single mattress, promising personal comfort within shared space. Roll your shoulders. At first, foreign shoppers were puzzled over these sets. Why two? Why not one generous cover? But curiosity led to imitation, and imitation, in time, to appreciation. IKEA's catalogs, photographed with a Nordic sensibility, showcased not just furniture, but philosophy, respect for autonomy, even at rest, practicality, wrapped in linen and down. By the late 20th century, this simple arrangement appeared in bedrooms far from Scandinavia, spreading quietly across Europe, and eventually finding admirers in North America and beyond. Dry wit accompanied this rise. Of course, a British columnist once joked that IKEA solved marital discord, not with counseling, but with duvets. A charming exaggeration, but not without truth. What IKEA's success revealed was something the Vikings may have intuited all along, that comfort depends not just on materials, but on respecting individual needs, even in the most intimate settings. Tonight, as you imagine folding back a lightweight, breathable cotton duvet, perhaps one purchased from that famous blue and yellow warehouse, you're participating in a lineage that stretches from peat smoke longhouses to sleek urban lofts, proof that a quiet innovation, gently exported, can change how the world sleeps. Next, we drift once more into a dream, back to linen fields and a sky lit softly by northern auroras, textures, shadows, and whispers weaving their way into night. A hush descends. Linen fields stretch before you, tall stalks, swaying gently, each blade brushing the next. A soft rustle, rising and falling, rising, falling. A pale green aurora drapes the sky above, its light diffused, delicate, slipping like silk across the horizon. Your fingertips trail along linen fibers, pulled taut on wooden frames. The texture smooth, then coarse, then smooth again. Cool in the breeze, cool against skin. Somewhere nearby, the wind hums low, weaving between drying racks, catching the faint scent of flax and earth. Fresh, clean, ancient. You step slowly, bare feet brushing over dew-damp grass, soft, yielding, cool. The linen rustles again, a quiet applause. Your shadows folding in long, slender patterns across your path. A distant creak, the gentle groan of old wood settling. Perhaps a cart, perhaps a loom, then silence again. You lower yourself now, lying back in the damp field, the sky above, pulsing softly. Aurora light flickering, folding flickering. The wind presses lightly at your cheeks, cool, caressing, carrying the memory of Nordic nights and long-forgotten craft. The ground cools beneath you, the air cools upon you, but a warmth begins to gather where your body meets earth. The hum continues, a song without words, a harmony of linen, wind, shadow, breath. A feather brushes your hand, weightless, drifting, turning once, twice, then caught by a breath of air and carried away. The aurora sways above, a ribbon caught in slow motion. Its glow is a gentle reminder you are neither here nor gone, suspended, half dreaming, fully cradled by texture and shadow. And soon we will rise again to explore this tradition. This Nordic comfort can be yours tonight. How you might fold and layer, arrange and nestle, crafting your own perfect cocoon. But for now, stay still. You let the linen field, the wind, and the pale northern sky cradle you. The hush deepens as we slip gently forward from ancient longhouses and linen fields to your own bedroom tonight. The Viking sleep method, the two-duvet trick, waits patiently for you to try. Simple, subtle, profoundly effective. Here's how to prepare. Begin by stripping your bed to the mattress itself. Smooth the sheet, no wrinkles. Let your palms press flat against cotton. Stretch tight, cool, and crisp. If your mattress lies bare on a wooden frame, even better, it echoes the old ways, where comfort rose from layers above, not springs below. Now gather two duvets. They needn't match perfectly. What matters is that they breathe well. Cotton cover, down or fiber fill within soft, light, warm yet airy. Lay them side by side, not stacked, not folded together, but aligned, so that each claims its own half of the bed. Roll your shoulders. This arrangement is key. Each sleeper gains sovereignty over their own warmth, adjusting folds and layers without tug of war. If you sleep alone tonight, keep both duvets. Use one light, one heavier. Shift them as needed to suit your own temperature. One folded at the feet, one draped gently at your shoulder. Next, consider the textures. Add a soft wool blanket at the foot of the bed for extra warmth on cool nights. Keep a small pillow nearby to support knees or arms as you settle into position. Finally, a detail the Vikings might have approved of without hesitation: airflow. Crack a window slightly. Allow cool, fresh air to circulate gently across the room, even as warmth gathers close to your skin. The house breathing they engineered so long ago, you can mimic in your own space tonight. Step back for a moment. Admire this arrangement. Simple, calm, nothing excessive, no decorative clutter, just bed, duvets, breath, and hush. Soon, you'll slip beneath those two layers, finding your own microclimate, where warmth stays yours alone, where no restless partner's turning disturbs you, where your cocoon can adjust, minute by minute. And next, we'll explore gentle customizations, tweaks to this ancient Nordic wisdom, adjustments for hot sleepers, cold sleepers, and even pets, so your modern sleep becomes a perfect echo of old serenity. You smooth a fold of fabric between your fingers, soft cotton, cool to the touch, perfect. But your sleep, like every sleeper's, is personal. The Viking sleep method, simple and profound, offers flexibility too, quietly ready for your adjustments. Are you a hot sleeper? Choose lighter duvets, airy cotton covers with lower fill power, breathable fabrics that let warmth drift away when it builds too much. You might even keep one corner untucked, allowing a cool breeze to slip gently over your feet. The two-duvet arrangement makes this easy. Your cocoon responds to your needs without disturbing anyone beside you. Cold sleeper? Opt for a wool topper beneath your sheet. Its texture dense, its insulation constant. Add a heavier duvet, choose goose down or wool fill, and pull it high to your chin, knowing no draft can sneak through because no one will be pulling at the edge. Roll your shoulders. Perhaps you share your bed with a pet, a loyal cat who curls at your feet, or a quiet dog who claims the far corner. The two-duvet method accommodates them too. One duvet can fold easily to create a warm nest beside you, while your own remains perfectly arranged, untouched and undisturbed. Even the material can shift. Linen for breathability, brushed cotton for softness, or blended fabrics for weight and warmth. Layer lightly in summer, deeply in winter, adjusting your sleep microclimate seasonally, just as Vikings adjusted pelts and straw. And don't forget the pillow, a final detail worth perfecting. A softer fill for side sleepers, a flatter, firmer pillow for back sleepers, each a small refinement to cradle your head while your body rests in its custom cocoon. The Viking sleep method isn't rigid. It invites you to listen quietly to your own comfort, to adjust gently, to sleep as yourself, fully supported and fully at ease. Next, we'll gather a few extra warmth hacks, old wisdom for chilly nights. Small touches you can adopt immediately. A wool wrap, a cracked window, a tale of woolen socks, and their lore. But for now, feel the calm in this simple act. Two duvets, two climates, one perfectly peaceful night. The room cools gently now. You feel it in the tips of your fingers. A soft draft, slipping past curtains, cool air, refreshing, but not unwelcome. And yet there are ways, quiet ways to gather warmth more fully around you tonight, all drawn from old Nordic habits. First, consider the wool topper, a dense, soft layer placed directly on your mattress beneath your sheet. It cushions, insulates, traps heat close to the body. The wool breathes too, so you stay warm without overheating. A perfect balance of texture and temperature. Next, revisit airflow. Crack the window ever so slightly. Yes, cool air flows in, but that gentle contrast sharpens your cocoon's comfort. The Vikings called this balance luft og varm, air and warmth, a constant dialogue between breath and shelter. Roll your shoulders, and socks. Not just any socks, but thick woolen socks, pulled high, warming the ankles and trapping heat where it easily escapes. Old Nordic wisdom treated socks almost like talismans. Warm feet, quiet dreams, they would say, a reminder that heat rises from the toes upward. If you sleep cold tonight, slip them on. For extra chill, a woolen wrap across the shoulders, a small folded blanket placed just over the chest, or a hot water bottle at the foot of the bed. All simple additions that create warmth precisely where you need it, without disturbing the quiet symmetry of two duvets, side by side. Each tweak speaks to awareness, listening to the cold, not as an adversary, but as a quiet participant in the art of sleep, arranging warmth where it's welcome, allowing cool where it soothes. Soon we'll return for the final chapter, legends and last myths, a last gentle nod to folklore, as we close the book on Viking sleep. But for now, gather your warmth where you wish. A sock, a wool wrap, a crack of air, a perfect cocoon just for you. The fire has settled now, a soft glow tucked beneath ash. And as you shift gently beneath your duvet, let's explore a few more timeless comforts, little details drawn from old Nordic wisdom that invite warmth exactly where it's needed. Start with your pillow, a detail often overlooked but treasured in Nordic households, where sleep is crafted carefully, layer by layer. A low, firm pillow supports a cooler sleeper. A higher, softer pillow cradles a warmer head. Choose the one that lets your neck melt gently into alignment. No tension, no strain, just soft support. Beneath your feet, consider a fur throw, folded loosely at the mattress edge. A small luxury that Vikings themselves might have used. A dense reindeer hide, insulating toes from winter's chill. Even today, a folded blanket here adds not only warmth, but a visual cue. This is a space designed for rest. And there's another tender touch, a woolen shawl, light and warm, draped, not across the bed, but across your shoulders as you prepare for sleep. A cozy ritual that warms body and mind, a gentle signal that the day has ended and slumber is near. Roll your shoulders. Nordic sleepers knew how to layer comfort with intention. The bedroom itself, a modern parallel to the longhouse, can mirror this thoughtful arrangement. Cool air, moving softly, bedding, breathable, and layered, textures inviting the hand to explore. A quiet atmosphere where nothing jars or distracts. Even a candle, its glow low, its flame steady, can add to the ritual. Vikings honored fire, not as spectacle, but as companion. A steady warmth that signaled home, rest, safety. Tonight, you can mimic these simple acts. Fold a favorite blanket across your feet, but add a second pillow if your head needs extra lift. Choose textures that soothe your fingers. Keep light low, soft, hushed. These small refinements don't just add comfort, they add meaning. They're a quiet dialogue with yourself, honoring the need for rest in a world that often rushes too fast. And soon, we'll float again, this time into another dreamy interlude. Linen fields, cool air, textures and shadows weaving quietly, preparing the mind for deep rest and the body for sleep. But for now, pause, breathe, feel every gentle fold of your bedding, every soft texture, every whisper of warmth, exactly where you need it. The glow of embers fades now, shadows long and soft, a perfect moment for lingering whispers. Those final tales that drift somewhere between truth and legend, between what Vikings truly did and what we imagine as we drift towards sleep. One tale speaks of a chieftain who claimed he could sleep warmer than a bear, but in truth, his secret was simpler. 2 separate duvets, down-filled, each perfectly fluffed. A playful exaggeration, nothing more, but proof that warmth was always worth boasting about. Another myth suggests that Vikings placed heated stones at the foot of their beds, wrapped in linen, radiating comfort through the coldest nights. While not common practice, the image endures, perhaps because it speaks to a timeless desire that simple, focused warmth where it matters most. There's even a story, softly told, that the goddess Freya herself blessed the art of restful sleep. Her favor was found in every folded pelt, every plump pillow, every patient layering of fabric and fur. A wink from the old sagas, a gentle nod to the divine, tucked quietly into household routine. But behind every legend, the truth holds steady. Vikings, fierce as their reputation suggests, were equally devoted to sleep that healed and restored. Their bedding arrangements, far from crude, reveal a culture attentive to detail, conscious of balance, skilled in shaping comfort from modest means. So as you lie back tonight, 2 duvets folded gently beside you, a pillow cradling your head, socks warming your feet, you join an old tradition, one built not on bluster, but on small, thoughtful gestures. Next we'll close this journey, a final hush, as your breath sinks with quiet shadows, a lullaby, waiting, gentle and soft. But first, listen, the legends rest easy now. So can you. You hover again at the edge of night, half dreaming, the longhouse dissolving into mist, textures and shadows merging into something softer, slower, deeper. A fur blanket brushes your arm, heavy but yielding. The faintest scent of smoke and pine lingers in the air, familiar, now, comforting. The straw beneath dry, crackling gently with every shift, but muffled, muted, your weight sinking just enough to settle, never enough to disturb. Outside, snow drifts quietly against the wall, each flake tapping gently, faint percussion, lost beneath the hush. The world beyond, wrapped in white silence, while inside, warmth pools close, close enough to cradle you. A soft current of air, cool, slips from a high vent, tracing a path across skin, before fading again into the shadows above. Slow, deliberate, never hurried. You breathe slow, even, breath misting faintly, fading before your eyes, lost in the hush. Somewhere, in the far corner, A lantern wick flares once, then sinks back to a low glow, amber light, tracing faint lines across timber grain, curved edges of wooden rails, folds of woolen cloth, layered with care. Each fold a history, each texture a memory, each shadow is an invitation to drift deeper. Your toes press into a patch of fur, dense, soft, cool. At first, warming slowly. The house itself feels alive, not watching, but holding a quiet embrace. Walls breathing with you, floor settling gently beneath you. Even the darkness feels gentle now, no longer absence, but a companion. A velvet backdrop for stillness. In this suspended moment, every sound fades, every draft slows, even the weight of the air itself lightens. You lie perfectly still, perfectly cradled, perfectly quiet. Soon, so soon, we'll move into the wind-down lullaby. Our final passage, a slow fade into sleep itself. But now, this hush is yours. This breath, this warmth, this stillness, all yours. Float here, between textures and shadows, breath and silence. Let the soft pulse of night hold you a moment longer. The hush has deepened fully now. Shadows stretched long, fire reduced to a faint glow in ash. The world around you, softened beyond edges, only textures and breath remain. You lie perfectly still, cocooned beneath the layered duvets, each fold adjusted, just so. Your own personal microclimate, gentle, contained. Your breath slows, even deep, rising, falling, in harmony with the quiet around you, the cool air brushing your cheek. A reminder that outside, the night lingers, but here, inside, warmth remains gathered close. A fur throw folds gently at your feet, grounding you. A soft woolen shawl drapes loosely over your shoulders. The weight is perfect, not too much, not too light. Your pillow cradles your head, inviting your neck to release all tension. Your jaw unclenches, your shoulders melt downward, arms resting heavy, fingers still, toes curling gently once, then resting too. Roll your shoulders. The longhouse seems far away now, a dream softened by linen and breath, and yet it lingers in this space, as if the timber walls themselves have folded into your room tonight, as if the history of sleep has arrived to keep you company. The floor beneath you holds steady, smooth wood, cool to the touch, but distant now, as your body sinks gently, deeper, softer. No sounds intrude, no light startles, only the faint pulse of your own breath and the delicate memory of distant snow brushing timber walls. Your thoughts slow too, uncoiling, unwinding, each one softer than the last. You shift slightly beneath your covers, the fabric sighing with you, quiet, yielding, holding, a perfect cocoon, crafted just for this moment. Even your mind grows quiet, thoughts drifting, like wood smoke, rising through a vent, curling, thinning, fading. This is your space, your breath, your sleep, your quiet. The duvets cradle you gently. No tension, no struggle. Your warmth fully yours, your comfort exactly as you wish. In this hush, you belong, not rushed, not watched, simply present still, embraced by soft textures and slow air. The air in the room feels heavy, in the best way, like a blanket itself, comforting, enveloping. Soon your breath deepens one last time. Your limbs melt further into stillness. Your fingers uncurl. Your face slackens. You have arrived. Fully, gently, at sleep's edge. The night itself seems to fold around you, a final warmth, a last softness, holding you perfectly. Sleep well. History never rests, but you should. A gentle promise lingers now. Another sleepy saga awaits when you're ready. Quiet. Thanks for sharing this night together. A soft invitation to return. Drift back soon. Sweet dreams. History never rests, but you should. Take care. Let the fire glow. Hold you as you drift deeper.